Disaster over the weekly bank deposit. The savings and loan is going to be bankrupt. Somebody will go to jail. George Bailey heads straight to the bar and gets drunk as quickly as he can, and he goes home long enough to upset everybody. He leaves the house with his wife complaining and all his children crying, and he hurls off towards the river. We see him standing on the bridge contemplating suicide. Meanwhile, his wife Mary gets on the phone, and actually the movie opens in heaven, where they are being bombarded with prayers.
I owe everything to George Bailey. Help him, dear Father.
Joseph, Jesus, and Mary, help my friend, Mr. Bailey.
Dear God, help my son George tonight.
He never thinks about himself, God. That's why he's in trouble.
George is a good guy. Give him a break, God.
Please, God, something's the matter with Daddy. Please bring Daddy back.
At the end of the movie, those prayers turn into action. Everybody in town reaches into their pockets and pours their money onto the Bailey's dining room table.
Mary did it, George. Mary did it. She told a few people you were in trouble, and they scattered all over town collecting money. They didn't ask any questions, just said, if George is in trouble, count on me. You never saw anything like it.
Here you are, George. Merry Christmas.
Mr. Martini, Merry Christmas. Step right up here.
I busted the jukebox, too.
Mr. Gower, I made the rounds of my charge accounts.
I've been saving this money for a divorce, if I ever get a husband.
George, I got all the teachers out and fed.
I wouldn't have a roof over my head if it wasn't for you, George.
A toast to my big brother George, the richest man in town.
It's a wonderful outpouring of generosity, but it's also a tribute to the difference that one man has made in the lives of lots of other people. So friends, what about us? What difference are we making? Let's open ourselves to hear words from Scripture. Reading from the Gospel of Matthew, chapter 10. Speaking to his disciples, Jesus said, "Whoever welcomes you welcomes me, and whoever welcomes me welcomes the one who sent me. Whoever welcomes a prophet in the name of a prophet will receive a prophet's reward. And whoever welcomes a righteous person in the name of a righteous person will receive the reward of the righteous. And whoever gives even a cup of cold water to one of these little ones in the name of a disciple, truly I tell you, none of these will lose their reward." I serve on the board of the Church Council of Greater Seattle, and a couple of weeks ago I had the assignment to interview one of my fellow board members, This is a thing we're doing at the moment, interviewing each other and doing a little presentation at a board meeting so that we all get to know each other a little. So I drove out to Kent and met up with this woman. She showed me around her church. She's an Episcopalian priest. And then we went out to lunch together. And over lunch, she said something that has had me excited ever since. She said, I see God in the spaces in between people, the buzz, the crackle of that space. So if I ever lose track of what's going on and I'm wondering where is God in all this, I look for the spaces between people. I look for what's going on there, the possibility, the invitation, the energy. I'm not sure, those weren't her words exactly, I'm not sure I captured it when we got around to the board meeting and that interview. I tried to make her say it again so that I could hear it one more time, but she kind of didn't. All I knew, and I knew it right away, was that she was right, and I loved it. God isn't far away watching from the balcony, just kind of supervising everything and maybe interfering now and then. God is in the thick of things in our situation, sparkling in the possibility between us and everybody we meet, every choice we make. God is in the space between me and you as I offer you these words this morning. And if something ignites for you, that's what God does. God is the fullness in a moment in which something new can happen. So we can be watching all the time. And once we get the hang of it, we will all have stories to tell. Last night, before the Alaska Suite concert, Dale and I had dinner downtown with the friends we'd invited to come along to the performance. I think I've mentioned these people to you before because their story just blew me away. 3 years ago, the husband heard somebody talking about the plight of people in Turkey under President Erdogan and the many who were fleeing from his tyranny. And he said, our friend, he said, gosh, that sounds terrible. Is there anything I can do? You know the danger of words like that. The speaker replied, actually, yes. There's a man here now who has just escaped from Turkey and he doesn't have anywhere to live. So our friend went home and he talked to his wife and they quickly got to work. Their house is small, it's only 2 bedrooms. But they cleared out their guest room and set it up ready to receive this man. And he moved in with them. They took this refugee into their home. Well, the man, Mustafa, is still awaiting his asylum hearing 3 weeks later, but now he's got his own little apartment. And his wife, Osman, who had been tortured in one of Erdogan's prisons, is now with him. And they've just had a baby. And this past week, our friends went to visit the baby. And so there's Jim holding 5-hour-old baby in his arms. So it's been years and years since he'd done that before. He said to us, it just hit me, the utter unlikeliness of that moment. If I'd said no instead of yes 3 years before, that's the obvious thing, but there have been so many steps, so many things that could have gone a different way. And now there's that little family together with one of them an American citizen and counting. It all hinged on a moment of decision. Jesus talked about our welcoming one another, the simplest thing in the world, but sometimes the most powerful. He talked about sharing a cup of cold water, little gestures, little kindnesses, things you forget, but sometimes things that change somebody's life. I'm sure we have stories we could tell. It goes the other way, too. On the radio this week was the story of a man traveling by train from Pakistan into India shortly after the partition. He was sitting there on the train and he was writing. He had a brand new, beautiful pen. He'd saved up his money and bought this pen and he was writing something. Well, the Indian immigration agent comes through the train to check everybody's papers. I'll have that, he says, taking the man's travel documents. And that's a nice pen. I'll have that too. And the man protested, but of course there was nothing he could do. The train agent walked away with his pen. But in that moment, he vowed to himself that never again would Pakistan be that powerless in the face of India's power. And he went on to become one of the architects of Pakistan's nuclear weapons program. Today is the last time we'll do business with those characters from It's a Wonderful Life. George Bailey gets to see what none of us get to see, which is what the world would have been like if he'd never lived. He gets to go to the cemetery to see the grave of the little brother whom he saved from a sledding incident. And that little brother was supposed to grow up and join the army, where he would go off to fight in France and rescue a whole village full of people. They all were gone too, presumably. George sees his mother, bitter and warped and twisted, because when his father died, a savings and loan went bust, and Uncle Billy was in a mental hospital, and Mr. Gower, the pharmacist, was in jail because of a prescription mistake that George caught in the movie. And lovely Mary was an old maid doing extra shifts in the town library. Everything else in town was in the hands of evil Mr. Potter. There were gambling joints and dance halls, and one way or another he was raking in the money from the place. By the time we've checked up on all the characters with all the doors George didn't get to open for them, you'd think, this guy is a saint. But only sort of, because he did an awful lot of it begrudgingly. He basically did the right thing, but he didn't always do it with good grace. 100 little actions, though, had made the difference between hope and despair, life and death, for all those people. All Saints' Day gives us a chance to acknowledge the people whose self-giving love, big and small, has changed our lives. There are so many of them, so much goodness, so much love. Today we say thanks. It's Covenant Sunday as well, when we bring back the forms we've filled out and the pledge cards. I know some of you have already put those envelopes in the box, but if you haven't, you're welcome to put them in the offering plates when they come around, or if you've left them at home, just make sure we get them in the next week or two. Every single one counts, because they're about the community we're building together. The more community, the more of those spaces, the more chance for God to be involved in the holy mix of our promises and suggestions and ideas and offers to get involved. God not watching benevolently from some other place, but right there in the opening of the envelopes and the adding of the pledges and the preparations for phone calls when it comes time for nominations. We are constructing the scaffolding for a new year, and God can make it into a temple. It is what God does. We'll probably be dazzled by some of the big pieces that appear, big ideas, the kind that require congregational meetings so that we can make big decisions. But lots of the real miracles may come through the pasta sauce we make, or the ride we offer, or the person we reach out to so that a nodding acquaintance has a chance to become a friendship. God is only waiting for us to create the opportunities. That's how it always has been. And our yes can make all the difference. Amen. It's time. The ushers will move among you with the plates. We gratefully receive your offerings for all that we're creating here, all the outreach that we hope God will exercise through us. There's covenant forms as well. It's time to dedicate.
We